Tonight, the stark reality of ECG's looming bankruptcy, administrative challenges, energy crisis moves the PURC to paint a gloomy picture about the state agency's ability to survive without a partial or total takeover. Details of a PURC advice to government to immediately order a multi-stakeholder engagement for a comprehensive examination of the state agency to avert a possible shutdown of the entire energy sector. But tonight, a former power minister is questioning the timing.
There is no way that an entity can survive going forward without drastic structural reform. Yes, there is the need, but the timing, 2 months into an election, this is not the time for the government of the day to come up with new proposals.
Also on top story, VRA Staff Association take their disagreement with a merger with Bui Power a notch higher with staff protest at their various offices across the country. Our top story, as always, is brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Now, on top story to this evening, Ghana's energy sector to face challenging times as the electricity company of Ghana is predicted to face a potential bankruptcy due to the inability of the company to collect revenues for power it distributes. The company's inability to collect revenues is being cited as a leading cause of its indebtedness to other stakeholders, including state-owned entities like Ghana Gas, PURC, GMPC, VRA, and GRICO. In a letter addressed to the Minister of Energy, PURC Executive Secretary Dr. Ismail Aka, referencing a letter the ECG had written to the authorities about its financial difficulties, revealed that the crisis has potential of crippling the entire energy sector of the country. We'll hear from former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor, who says ECG must be blamed for the financial challenges the company finds itself in now because it is only able to collect less than 50% of the revenue for the power the company distributes every month. Now, though, let's share with you details of this letter the PURC has written to the Energy Minister. My colleague James Aveji joins me in studio. James. Now, the PURC first lays the foundation for this decision. It talks about acknowledging that the ECG has initiated and started the implementation of digital and metering programs. What more do we have there?
Well, Brace, as you said earlier, this is at the back of 3 separate letters written by the ECG. 2 of those letters were to the Energy Minister and 1 to the PURC, and the PURC says that it has noted the persistent financial challenges facing the Electricity Company of Ghana, a matter of grave concern not only for the ECG but for the entire energy sector. Now, the challenges as contained in the letter submitted by the ECG highlighting the imminent risk of bankruptcy given ECG's strategic role in the power distribution. Its financial inability poses a significant threat to the sustainability of the power sector and the security of electricity supply, which could lead to a national threat. And so that's the first part of it.
So a bigger threat there.
Exactly.
That the entire energy sector can crumble, and that will lead to a national security threat.
Exactly. It continues to acknowledge that ECG has initiated and started the implementation of digital and metering programs expected to improve the cash collection. However, despite these efforts, the Commission's decision to increase tariffs by more than 75% since September 2022, ECG's financial difficulty persists. Indeed, for June and July 2024, ECG declared some 884.2 million Ghana cedis and 857 million Ghana cedis respectively. These amounts were not enough to pay the Tier A plus WAPCO's bill of $47 million per month. Unfortunately, in August 2024, ECG declared less than 800 million Ghana cedis as revenue. This represents about 42% of the revenue expected by the Commission to be collected and paid to the sector players. Now, Tier B companies, including Ghana Gas, VRA, Gridco, and ECGB, and the regulators are struggling to get enough of to pay their staff and administrators' costs because of the low revenue generation of the ECG. They drew some comparative analysis of what happens in other countries. For instance, in Kenya, what listed approximately 50% of its equity on the stock exchange. And so these are some of the remedies they talk about that the ECG could look at.
And PRC also cited the Tanzania example where it says that Tanzania's government has converted a government on-lend loan of 2.4 trillion Tanzanian shillings into equity. Since 2022, Tanzania Electric Supply Company Limited has consistently declared profit, reducing both technical and non-technical losses to around 9% as of June 2024. That's quite interesting there.
Exactly. And so same as Uganda. And so all of this comparative analysis is to draw a picture or paint a picture of what other countries are doing to help their power generation, power distribution companies and their collection rates, which they think that should be, looked at in the case of ECG to make it a bit more viable. Either consider listing it on the stock exchange as other countries have done, but they've gone further to make other recommendations. They said drastic reductions in technical and commercial losses must be looked at, the enhancement of fiscal discipline and directive for ECG to avoid engaging in non-core activities, a relook at the nature of power purchase agreement, and an exchange rate regime that lessens the burden on consumers and all of that. They concluded that in view of the above, the Commission recommends that the Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with ECG, the State Interest and Government Authority SIGA, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Public Enterprises, and other key stakeholders engage in a comprehensive examination of the root causes of ECG's financial difficulties. Such an exercise should aim to chart a path for transforming the company and safeguarding the energy sector. The Commission would expect ECG to provide transparency on key issues such as revenue collection versus the cash waterfall mechanism declarations, major contracts, and other monthly commitment, including meters, capital loans, and others, commercial and technical losses, non-core activities, and structural challenges such as fuel payment and other issues impeding on their work. And so that's essentially what the PURC has been about in that.
So the PURC has analyzed the entire challenge that the ECG's inability to collect the revenues for power sold will have on the entire energy sector of Ghana, and proposed possible solutions that the state can consider in addressing these challenges.
Exactly, which they said needed to be taken urgently to forestall the power distributor from going bankruptcy or from their work crumbling to the ground.
All right, so that is what the PRC has painted to the authorities. Now, the company itself, ACG, has been detailing its state of affairs. Here's the managing director of the company, Samuel Dubik Mahama.
To run a business, you need money to run a business. And if you've been given a business where you are to sell and collect, if you don't sell and collect, you can't put anything back in the system. Do not forget, what we sell and collect under the cash waterfall system is how IPPs are paid. It's how the other SOEs, the VRAs, the Gridcos, the PURCs, the Ghana Gas, the GMPCs, everybody has their allocation under cash waterfall. So we have to find a way to close the gap to make the whole system whole, because we are at the bottom of the food chain. The responsibility is on us to fix the problem. It's a holistic approach. If we do not raise enough money, we will not get enough money to fix it. You know, and the funny thing is that these are not operational expenses. These are capital expenditure. Until ECG is a company that has not been capitalized since 2007. All these new reforms that you've been seeing for the past 2 years since I've been in office have been us trying to be creative in using our operational expenditure to close the gaps. So all we do need is a conversation around the whole table saying that, hey, you cannot be doing this anymore. This is the capital expenditure that needs to be put in. Value this, value that, and let's talk around the big table to find that kind of money to solve some of these technical issues.
Well, we can all listen to Dr. Kwabena Donkor, who is former Power Minister of this country, and he's been calling for a national consultation on how to reposition the state power distributor to be financially sound. Listen.
This is not new. Indeed, it is unfortunate, it is unnecessary, and it is saddening that in the month of August, ECG only collected 42% of what they were supposed to collect. This is a serious indictment of the whole distribution system. If you're collecting only 42% of what you are supposed to collect, there is no way that an entity can survive going forward without drastic structural reforms. Yes, there is the need, but the timing, 2 months, 2 months into an election, this is not the time for the government of the day to come up with new proposals. And indeed, that was one of the reasons why the minority resisted the laying of some bills in Parliament to restructure ECG and NEDCO. Timing is important in business as well as it is important in politics. Yeah, but ECG needs a fundamental rethink. We remember the government of John Dramani Mahama in the past brought in the MCC, the Millennium Challenge Corporation, to help us with some investment into ECG. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that was botched after the NDC left office. There's a need to revisit. And what type of privatization, what type of private sector involvement will we be looking at? Our manifesto provides some guidance to the sort of thinking of the NDC.
Okay, but Dr. Kwabena Donkor, I'm wondering, you have concerns about the timing. What will be the right time to be able to redeem this particular ailing company that you talk about?
No, the right time will have to be from January, because there is going to be...
An ECG can survive up until that?
Well, it has survived up till now, so it can survive until January.
Okay.
It can survive and for the next 2-3 months, because there's going to be a deeper national consultation. It is not a knee-jerk reaction. This situation did not just happen overnight. ECG has been bleeding for a while. Indeed, ECG can be akin to the woman with the bleeding problem in the Bible. And it's been going on for a while. We must keep ECG going for the next 3 months for the new government, whichever party, so that there can be proper national discussion.
So you had the former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, speaking to my colleague, MFA Apao, earlier on Midday News. Now, let's bring in Nana Ya Janta, who's the Executive Secretary of the Coalition of Stakeholders on Electricity Concession Arrangement, and also Dr. Nida Kwasante, former PURC boss. Doc and Nana, grateful to you for joining us. Let me start with you, Dr. Nida Kwasante. You've been at the PURC before. If you listen to what the PURC intends to do, trying to let us understand the challenges confronting the energy sector because of ECG's inability to collect its revenue, and what should happen. Where should we start from?
Thank you, and good evening to your listeners. I think one should start from why is ECG not able to collect the revenue. The job that ECG has is not unique to ECG. Every single distribution company in the world has to collect revenue. For some reason, over the years, ECG has failed to do so, And to a large extent, we as a people, we as regulators, have failed to hold them to account. And that is why we are where we are. Privatization, which I hear being talked about, is essentially an admission of failure. Failure by the managers and board of ECG, and failure by the regulator to ensure compliance with required performance. So at the end of the day, there's failure, and we must admit to it. Things need to be done. They are not being done. To the best of my knowledge, no boss, no board of ECG has ever been fired or terminated for non-performance. And yet, we are here. And it's, as Honorable Kwabena Donkor said, it's been the same situation for many, many, many years. We didn't have to wait for it to get here.
Dr. Asante on the line.
Can you hear me?
Doc, yes, I can hear you now. I thought I'd lost you. But so you hear the PRC say that every intervention we intend to take must go with drastic reductions in technical and commercial losses, enhanced fiscal discipline, and a directive for ECG to avoid engaging in non-core activities. Relook at the nature of power purchase agreement and exchange rate regime that lessens the burden on consumers and independent economic technical audit of ECG to assess the utility's true technical and financial position. Now, you've said that we have to start from a certain point. At what point in time should we take this decision? Is it what time must we do it?
So we need to do what we need to do. We should have done it yesterday. My point is that unless we know why we are where we are, we'll just throw a lot of solutions at it. The fundamental problem is the technical and commercial losses. ECG collects less than 50% of the revenue it needs. That has nothing to do with anything other than non-performance. So we must address the non-performance. There is wastage, yes. But if you don't collect enough, whether you waste 0 or you waste 40%, you are still in the hole. So we have to start with, why does ECG not collect enough? Why have they not been able to improve their collection rate all these years? That is the fundamental problem.
Do you know why they've not been collecting enough?
Because they can get away with not doing so. If you have a taxi driver who collects less than 50% of the revenue he needs to collect, would you keep him in place? If you had a school which could never graduate any students, would you keep the headmaster in place? At the end of the day, the real problem is that ECG and the bosses we have had for ECG have failed to perform for many years, but nobody over the years has held them to account. That is the fundamental problem. We always say privatization as a solution. All you are doing is putting people who you believe will do the job in place of people who are not doing the job. But we never admit that somebody is not doing their job. We need to face the fact. If I'm given a job and I'm not able to do it and I'm not fired, I should be honorable enough to resign. If I'm not given the tools with which to work, I should tell the person who appointed me, and if they don't respond, I should resign. But to stay there and fail to perform is not acceptable. But we have accepted it.
Isn't this characteristic of the country's public sector? You can't be there, whether you perform or not, you are there. Nobody will fire you. And therefore, people say privatizing is the way to get the best out of these companies.
So privatization is an admission of failure by regulators, by we the people, for not holding duty bearers to account. But it is an admission of failure. So let's admit that we are failing as people, as bosses, we are incompetent, whatever word we want to use. But let's admit the failure. I don't doubt if we say that it's lack of funds, that's one different thing. But I do not believe this is an issue of lack of funds.
So do you disagree with proposals to privatize?
I don't disagree. All I'm saying is that if we do privatize, let's admit the failure.
Okay.
It is difficult to regulate a public sector entity. I'm not denying that fact. But we have never said that we are unable to do so. We always privatize as if it's a solution. It's a solution to a problem of failure. and let's admit failure where failure is due.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we've all failed exams or something at some point. We don't pretend that, oh, it was the examiner who said 2 tough questions. When we fail, let's face up to it. If we recognize that we are not able to regulate public sector entities because maybe the appointing authority does not support us, let us say so. It's not an MPP, it's not an NDC thing. This has been going on for years. But it's as if, oh, it's not anybody's fault. We just need to privatize because privatization works better. Collecting less than 50% of the revenue you are supposed to collect is not acceptable in any business.
Okay. Let me bring in Nana Yajantua. She's Executive Secretary, Coalition of Stakeholders on Electricity Concession Arrangement, COSECA. Nana, you've been in this space for quite some time. Do you also admit that there is a management failure on the part of those who are in the helm of affairs at ECG, and therefore we need to look at how we can deal with it? What would be your best proposal as to how we can deal with this situation?
Thank you very much. You know, these issues have been discussed variously, and it's been there for some time. When I was in the PURC, we used to discuss these matters. But the most important thing is that who is making sure that the right thing is done? What are the benchmarks that have been given to the ECG to follow? Do we just give them tariffs day on without even finding out how they are utilizing the money that has been given to them? And this is what I say every time, that the benchmarks that goes with the tariffs, are they adhering to it? Of course, you are talking about privatization, but what form of privatization are you talking about? Because I saw in the PURC letter that they should float shares on the stock exchange. Who will put their money into an ailing organization, an ailing company? I think that we need to put ECG on its feet before we think about privatizing. In the letter, the PURC talked about some non-core, activities that the ECG is involved in. They didn't give us exactly what it is. They also talked about the ECG buying fuel for the sector. That is not the work of the ECG, to buy fuel for the generation, utility. So all these things must be looked. What is the governance structure of the ECG? Who is influencing what? Is government influencing anything? Is ECG allowed to do their work? Is the regulator regulating the ECG properly with all the tools and all the benchmarks? Because, when you do the tariff, there's a benchmark loss. 15%, 10%. In best practice, where they have all the technical issues at hand, where they've been able to put in the right kind of lines, right kind of equipment, they give you a benchmark loss of maybe 10%, 9%. Here, because of all the issues to do with the equipment that they use, the lines that carry the electricity, because it's not very strong, maybe give you a benchmark loss of 15%. And if any utility goes beyond that benchmark loss, you need to penalize that utility. Then it means there is a problem. Commercial losses. We need to look at commercial losses. Are they collecting? If they are not collecting, what is the regulator doing to ensure that they collect? What kind of private sector involvement are you looking at? Are you looking at strategic business units where the utilities are in zones, like we zone Accra, Eastern region, Volta region as one SBU, another region as one SBU, so that we know that these people are responsible for the losses. At the end of the day, you can't hold one SBU for losses. So we need to have a holistic approach. We need to have proper stakeholder consultation about what is going on. The cash waterfall has become some kind of a menace. And they are not distributing the money in that because they are not collecting. If you talk about an audit, I remember somewhere in June, the Pricewaterhouse did an audit on ECG. And I don't know what has happened to that report that came out. So we need to be holistic about everything in the sector, because if we are not careful and there is a total collapse of the electricity subsector of the energy sector, then we are in trouble. We are looking at tariffs. What about the depreciation of the CD, which is a component of the tariff? How has the depreciation of our CD affected the revenue of the ECG? What is the benchmark collection that the PURC has given to the ECG?
Okay.
Because if PURC is talking about 800 and something million, what is the benchmark? You've just given us what they have collected. What is the benchmark that they have not collected? As a regulator, how is government even using PURC to advise it? How is the regulator acting as a regulator?
But when there are instances where the regulator does give advice or sort of tries to get the entities under control. We also a few months ago where there was a bit of a confusion between the PRC and ECG when PRC wanted to get ECG to correct some anomaly. Isn't that where we should draw the line between where the regulator's role is and where the company has that mandate to listen to what the regulator says?
You see, the companies have to listen to the regulator. We are looking at the tariffs that are done, cost reflective, cost of service tariffs, and the regulator is the one who gives the tariff. So the companies must listen to the regulator. Any time that the companies are not listening to the regulator, then it means that there is an interference which is on the part of the company. You know what? When I was in PURC, anytime we sanctioned the companies, ECG, VRA, Gridco, nobody interfered. And they will do accordingly because we use the laws that are available like PURC did. So for me, it was a bit surprising that ECG would fight openly with PURC and nobody came in to stop them. I expected that somebody, either the president, because the PURC is under the office of the president, so that the president would come in to let the companies know that it's the work of the regulator to ensure that there is sanity in the system.
Okay.
If the regulator is frustrated, as I see, that the PURC is frustrated, this is what happens. Because it is only a frustrated regulator that would write a letter.
Nana, I hear. Let me bring in John Jinapo, who is ranking member on the Energy Committee of Parliament. John, the PRC was not explicit about floating shares on the stock exchange. It only gave us examples of what other countries in Africa have dealt with the situation. You have been in this sector for some time. What should we do? Do we have to privatize? Do we have to float shares? What sort of strategy must we adopt in this case to save ECG?
Under the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement, where President Mahama secured $500 million to invest in the energy sector, we visited all these countries. I led a team to Uganda, to India, to Tanzania, to learn from good practices. And we concluded that you don't need to sell ECG. What you need is a concession, because the major problem confronting ECG has to do with billing and collection. We set KPIs were to reduce the losses at that time at 22% to 8%, so that the collection would hit 92%. And over time, it would hit 98%, just like Umeme in Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania are all doing. You and I know the president's family got involved, bastardized the PDS, and even came and told us that they were presented with fraudulent documentation. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. The roadmap is there. What we need to do is to take away the unnecessary political interference and the attempt by some people to make personal gain on the back of this concession. If we do it in a transparent manner, in a fair manner, and put in place the right mechanism, we will turn ECG around. When I was leaving office, ECG made a profit of $316 million. Just last year, their financial, they made a loss of $10 billion. $10 billion. So we're talking of a system or a utility that is collapsing. And what the PRC has just said is to confirm what we've been talking about all these years. There's too much political interference in the management of the energy sector. And it's not just the power
but
sector.
John, if by the time you were leaving office, they made profit and they're making losses now, is the solution privatization then?
They were making progress, but they had done losses of around 22%. And we said that is not enough. Don't privatize it completely by selling it off. Involve Ghanaian entrepreneurs, the private sector, to collect the money for you. You create more jobs. You bring about efficiency. You bring about transparency. MTN sells credit. They allow people to sell on their behalf. Why can't we do the same with ECG? You made me. We went there, went to Uganda. We can copy their model and tweak it to suit ours. But the problem, I'm telling you, is the corruption and a few cabal who always wants to benefit from the energy sector. That is the problem.
All right, John, I'm grateful to you. John Jinapo is a ranking member on the Energy Committee of Parliament. Nanaya Jantwa is Executive Secretary of COSECA. Dr. Nida Asante, former PRC boss, I'm grateful to you for joining us. But it is a day on which the staff of VRA have been protesting the government's intention to merge some entities. Now, according to management and board of VRA, they say they were not engaged in the mergers and forming of this hydro authority, separating thermal and forming Ghana Thermal Authority, as well as merging NETCO to ECG to form the Ghana Power Distribution Authority. Today, most officers at their various offices across the country were on a sit-down strike, and they say that they will continue this on Friday to protest that decision by government. This has been Top Story. Up next is Newsnight.
And it's 80 days to the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, religious leaders charge Electoral Commission to drop hardline stance and engage the NDC over the party's concerns over the 2024 voters register, as the NDC claims to have uncovered new cases of illegal transfer of voters in the Tolon constituency.
Like the Tamale episode, when they quickly came out, they say, oh, only 30 people from Tamale. We are reversing. It's not true. Tolong, we just discovered massive transfer of people like that.
We have details of that also tonight. Turmoil on the Labour front as the Senior Staff Association of the Universities of Ghana and the Ghana Association of University Administrators lay down their tools indefinitely in protest of the unpaid allowances.
Government just wrote for you tax to be paid, leaving the rest of us. It will be there until government pays the money.
There is a gross discrimination against the non-teaching staff, as if it is only the teaching staff that matters.
We have details of that also tonight. Staff of the National Commission for Civic Education, their division, refused to call off their strike as they take on the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
As if we are second-class citizens, that some can be granted certain opportunities, certain percentages, and we cannot be given the same opportunity. We refuse to accept that discrimination until our demands are met. We are laying down out. We have had enough.
And tonight, another injunction placed on the Fix the Country intended demonstration, this time over the illegal mining menace, as they're already calling for the resignation of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo.
We are not just calling for an end to illegal mining. We are calling for the resignation of those who have allowed this crisis to fester. We demand the immediate resignation of the following officials: the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
We have details of that particular story as it's developing, plus that injunction that has just been placed on the Democracy Hub demonstrations, we're told, on their blind side, secured by the police. You want to stay for details of that. Meanwhile, Minister of Trades, Katie Hammond, is already warning illegal miners against any attempt to encroach and turn his inherited property into a galamsey pit.
I've heard some people want to go there and do illegal mining. I dare them to come and do the galamsey there.
You want to stay for that.
And in business, strong growth in the industrial sector pushes the second quarter GDP estimates to record 6.9%, the highest in several years.
In sports, experienced football administrator Fred Papu warns Hearts of Oak over looming relegation.
We have details of that and more, plus our climate focus series to take you to Dambai, where boat accidents on the Oti River have reduced significantly with the introduction of 3-day forecast and radio warnings.
The introduction of weather forecast has significantly reduced accidents on the lake, as those who do listen can take necessary precautions.
That and more in tonight's edition of News. Now, you want to join us with your thoughts, your comments via WhatsApp is 055-111-1997. Also live on X Spaces. We're on Facebook, also on myjoyonline.com live, affiliates across the country's 16 regions. I am Emefa Apau. We'll settle for details after the short break.
Everybody likes money, but what do we like more than money? More money! Join the Telecel More Money promo and win money, more money, and even more money. Simply opt in for free and reload your mobile and broadband and be the lucky winner of the 1 million Ghana cedis grand prize. Also win cash prizes of up to 3 million Ghana cedis in the daily and weekly draws. Opt in for free by dialing *500# or send WIN to 500, or you can opt in on the Telecel Play app. The more you reload, the higher chances of winning in the Telecel More Money promo. Keep loading, win, and be a millionaire.
Telecel. Connecting energies.
Terms and conditions apply. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears. Bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Hello, my name is Mami Akuya, an entrepreneur and a mother of 2. My work keeps me busy most of the time, and sometimes it takes me away from my family. But the safety and health of my family is very important to me. As a working mother, I cannot afford to take any chances when it comes to matters of health. That is why I signed up for a family healthcare plan from Equity Health Insurance. My family and I have access to over 700 hospitals, clinics, opticians, dentists, pharmacies, and diagnostic centers across the length and breadth of Ghana. With Equity Health Insurance, I no longer have to worry about medical bills. Anytime a member of my family visits a hospital, Equity Health Insurance has got my family and I covered. What about you? Who has got you covered?
Call Equity Health Insurance on 050-660-7910 and talk to them about your family health needs now. Visit equityhealthinsurance.com for more information. Equity Health Insurance, here for you.
Are missing teeth affecting your confidence? Dental implants could be the solution. Hi, I'm Tanya from Bethel Dental Clinic, Ghana, and I'm here to tell you about the amazing benefits of dental implants. If you're missing teeth or struggling with uncomfortable dentures, dental implants could be the solution you've been looking for. Implants are a special metal screw placed in the jawbone where the tooth or teeth used to be. After a while, this screw or implant fuses seamlessly with the jawbone, providing stability and durability. Dental implants look, feel, and function just like the natural teeth, giving you freedom to eat, speak, and laugh without worry. Bethel Dental Clinic, the smile starts here.
Healthy smile.
For too long, Ghanaians have been let down by empty promises and failed leadership. But now, a new dawn is rising in our beloved country. A sweeping change led by the visionary, Nana Kwame Bediako, the leader of a new force movement. Nana Kwame Bediako will embark on an unprecedented tour of all 276 constituencies across Ghana. He's bringing hope, economic freedom, and to put power back where it belongs, with you, the people. Be part of this historic revolution that will shape the destiny of our nation. Join the New Force movement now and let's build a nation of our dreams. For more information, call 0531 100081. That's 0531 100081. New Force Movement. Enidaswa Ba.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight, here on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are live on Love 99.5 FM, live across Ghana's 16 regions on a number of affiliates, also on myjoyonline.com. So tonight, we'll start off with hashtag No to Galamsey. Yesterday, we know that the ad hoc committee that was set up to engage stakeholders ended inconclusively that meeting here in Accra. We've heard from the coalition against illegal mining, the media coalition, raising concerns about that stakeholder. All they're asking for is a declaration of a state of national emergency. Well, today, organizers, that's the Democracy Hub, organizers of the Fix the Country demonstrations, also waded into this particular situation, No to Galamsey, that hashtag. And for them, they are calling for the resignation of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo. Well, beyond this demand also, the group believes that other ministers and sectoral agency heads, including the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, should be equally relieved of duty owing to their failure to put an end to illegal mining. Already also, the group served notice they will hit the streets in the coming days while taking additional measures to drum home their demands. Well, there's a development to that particular intended series of demonstrations to be embarked upon by Fix the Country movement. And tonight, we will hear from my colleague on the Legal Affairs Desk, Kwekwa Sante, has a copy of that order for prohibition against Democracy Hub, demonstrations in the coming days. But first, let's hear from one of the conveners of Democracy Hub address a news conference on what exactly they are hoping will be done when it comes to the illegal mining fight.
Those in positions of power have turned a blind eye, allowed illegal miners to wreak havoc on our rivers and lands because they, too, benefit from the spoils. But make no mistake, this is not just an environmental issue. It is a symptom of a broken system that prioritizes profit over people, greed, and governance. We are not just calling for an end to illegal mining. We are calling for the resignation of those who have allowed this crisis to fester. We demand the immediate resignation of the following officials: the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the heads of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, the Minerals Commission and the Forestry Commission. These are the individuals who have failed to protect our environment. I say to you, rise up, young people of Ghana, rise up and take your place at the forefront of this movement for change. Rise up and demand a government that works for you, not against you. Rise up and be the voice that says galamsey must stop, corruption must end, and the future must be ours to shape.
That's Nanda Nswai. She's convener of the Democracy Hub, organizers of the Fix the Country demonstrations at that press conference earlier today. Well, I've been talking about that development and the intended action they were supposed to be taking in terms of hitting the streets for 3 consecutive days to draw the president's attention to act now. And my colleague Kwekwa Sante joins us on the line with details from that order for prohibition against Democracy Hub. What exactly are we learning? And were there any reasons given as to why the police does not want these demonstrations to take place?
Well, if I'm not exactly. In fact, it is barely 4 days to the start of that demonstration. This is the same group that organized the Occupy Jolobi House protest last year, and it was in the similar circumstances when there was an order of prohibition secured in the High Court of Ghana. But this time again, the police, the Ghana Police Service, have managed to get an Accra High Court, specifically Justice Marie-Louise Simmons, the Justice of the High Court, to injunct the Democracy Hub and organizers of the Fix the Country protest, the Occupy Jolobi protest, from going ahead with this protest to press home the demand for economic change and also to demonstrate against the illegal mining menace that is currently ongoing. In fact, if you read this injunction application order that has been made, it was clear that it was an ex parte injunction. What this means is that the police went to court without the other side. So the police, seeing the exigencies of the time, went to court on the blind side of the parties, and this is expected to subsist for 10 days. Let me read. It says, upon reading the affidavit of Richard Asamoah, Chief Inspector of Police stationed at the Greater Accra Regional Police Headquarters, Accra, on the 17th day of September in support of motion ex parte for an application for prohibition orders against demonstration, and upon hearing the submission of Victoria Dote Esquire, it is hereby ordered that a group, Democracy Hub, together with their conveners, assigns, agents, or any persons assigned with the group, are prohibited from embarking on the intended demonstration at the Revolution Square behind Liberation Road, opposite Jubilee House, from the 21st day of September 2024 to 23rd day of September 2024, from 6 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. on each of the days or any other day for that matter. The order is granted pursuant to Article 21D of the 1992 Constitution on freedom of assembly and its exceptions, given under my hand and seal of the High Court. So this is that ex parte injunction that has been granted by the High Court against the protest.
That's a member of our legal affairs desk, Kwekwa Sante, there, giving us updates on that order of prohibition served, taken by the police against the Democracy Hub in terms of the series of demonstrations or protests that they were hoping to stage when it comes to the illegal mining and the fight, which is under the hashtag No to Galamsey. Let me quickly bring in the convener or one of the conveners of the Fix the Country demonstrations, and Oliver Bakavoma thankfully joins us on the line. We are grateful indeed for your time here on Newsnight. So has this order of prohibition that my colleague reads out to us come to your attention?
Emma, thank you very much. I appreciate it. In fact, we are only finding out about the existence of this order from Joy News this evening. It hasn't come to our attention. We're just finding out now. I think, first of all, our reaction is that it is almost laughable to the point of ridiculousness. It would appear that everybody in this country is entitled to go on a demonstration apart from Fix the Country. We have received perpetual and continuous injunctions from last year. Last year, December, when we tried to go on a protest, an injunction was issued that Christmas is for merrymaking and that we are not entitled to go on a demonstration. This has happened again. But we want to be clear. As long as we have not been served with the order, in any event, it seems to us that the order is an ex parte injunction. Our courts are clear that on questions of freedom of assembly, you cannot obtain an ex parte injunction against that. We notified the police 3 months ago. It is almost laughable from the test that again to their favorite friends in the judiciary who have completely continued to disregard our constitution and giving them an injunction. Now take it from me. We will disregard any unlawful order to stop us from going on a protest. The protest is happening, and even if it takes arrest or whatever it takes, we are going to be on the streets from Saturday.
You are going to defy the court order, you say?
Yes, we are going to defy any unconstitutional order that has been purportedly made by any court.
You don't consider this particular order for prohibition constitutional?
No, we don't consider the order to be constitutional. It has been
Why?
It is against several orders of our court regards to the need to give notice to people who are exercising constitutional rights. Constitutional rights cannot be abridged in an abrasive manner. And when the police continue to act lawlessly with the aid of the court who have no respect for our constitution, it is incumbent upon every citizen to defend the constitution and our rights.
But
we cannot continue to play this game for over how many years, where 3 months notice given to the police and they come at the last minute that they have gotten an order and the court continue to entertain them with these bogus orders.
But some will say you're also then engaging in the same lawlessness that you're accusing the police of.
Well, we are abiding by the Constitution, which protects the right to do this. We think that the Constitution speaks with a clearer authority than whatever unconstitutional order that are given. That we should understand as a democratic republic that as much as the police and other institutions, allied institutions, can engage in lawlessness, and when they have engaged in lawlessness, there's no reason why ordinary citizens should consider themselves bound by lawlessness. So we are going to go ahead and then wait on a clearer voice from the Constitution where they need be. But we are going to defy this order.
But 3 months ago, when you notified the police about this intention, did they raise any concerns at all? At least, did you engage? What exactly were the concerns raised by the police, if there was any?
Now, let's remind ourselves that in 1994, the Supreme Court said that the only requirement on any person...
I understand, it's just a notification, but I'm asking if they raised any concerns. Yes.
Notified them 3 months ago. Sometime about 2 weeks ago, they wrote to us. 2 weeks, this is over 2 months after that, saying that they were requesting us to move the venue and also move the dates, which they are entitled under law to recommend to us, and we're also entitled under law to tell them that we don't agree with them, which we have done. Now, if they intend to go for an order, the courts are clear that that order cannot be an ex parte injunction. We've been through this several times since the country has taken this matter to the Supreme Court and had an order quash in similar circumstances. We cannot continue to play roughshod with the Constitution. It doesn't work like that.
But some would say that the ultimate is the fight against illegal mining. Must we hit the streets by all means before that happens?
So, as far as we are concerned, that the need to draw attention to the environmental crisis we are facing and the lackadaisical manner in which this is being taken is something that every Ghanaian must feel mobilized to step out and speak against. And whatever means that takes, those who have watched on for persons to destroy our environment, for politically affiliated, politically connected persons to be involved in the process of destroying our environment, now turn around and want to use lawlessness to prevent those who want to make our voices clear on the matter. It cannot continue.
Okay.
Particularly we as young people whose futures are now being jeopardized by this recklessness. Must step up. And if the only tool of oppression now is the threat of arrest, then we are ready to take those arrests and step out into the street. Because this is something that we must deal with urgency and an appreciation of the risk we are facing as a nation, particularly at the point where our waters are being poisoned, and we cannot even look into the future for clean drinking water. This is not a matter where we can sit back and sit aloof and allow the usual policies and the play and the disregard for law and always expect to go back to the Supreme Court and it will take 6 months to get an order from the court. Why are we continuing to abuse the process of the law in order to live in the proper democracy that protects our ability to even bring clean drinking water?
Okay.
How many more documentaries must Joy News do on this matter for us to see that the problem is there? So that's where we are. And our response is that we have a responsibility to ourselves and to tomorrow's generation to speak up.
We are grateful indeed for your time. That's Oliver Bakavoma, who is one of the conveners of the Democracy Hub, organizers of the Fix the Country demonstrations. And it's been 10 days since this huge call by Labour, that joint call was made on government. Let's bring in the convener, Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. We are grateful for your time here on Newsnight. So are you impressed so far about government's efforts since we made that huge call? So far, we didn't get the state of national emergency, but some measures have been rolled out. Are you impressed so far?
Emerson, I'm out of Accra, and today I drove on the Accra-Kumasi road. And I can tell you that some sections of the road, from the road, you could see people still engaged in illegal mining. So before the Nkoko bypass, the people still engaged in illegal mining that I could see from my vehicle. So impressed? No. It's the reason why the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, when we were invited to meet the ad hoc committee, we decided that we were not going to go to the meeting. And what we asked was that the president should declare the state of emergency over the water bodies, the buffers of the water bodies, and the forest reserves. Then we could sit down and talk, because nothing really is happening. I can tell you that. Nothing, at least from, the personal examples that I saw driving just before the bypass, the Nkoko bypass. You could see people driving from my car. You could see them. There was a woman, sieving, something in, some of the galamsey pits that are very close to the road. So, nothing has happened. When you are in a crisis and you are hemorrhaging, the attitude to it is not what it is that we're demonstrating. You remember in the UK, when they got those riots happening and those xenophobic attacks, you saw the alacrity with which they responded to it. But when you have stability of water hitting 14,000 NTUs, you have the whole country, rising up and asking for responses. The response we have gotten is not what we were expecting.
Well, and already I'm sure you've been listening in on Oliver Bakavomao and that particular order of prohibition that has come. They were intending to protest, hit the streets of some form to at least drum home the fight against illegal mining. Really, what's your reaction to this decision by the police and the court?
Well, I was on the call. I did not get a lot of the details of it.
So really, they've notified the police as they ought to 3 months ago, and now today on their blind side, an order of prohibition has been secured to prevent them from hitting the streets in some 4 days.
So it means that the 3 months ago notification would not have been on the back of the illegal mining. I'm sure it might have been other.
They insist it's on illegal mining as well.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely for us, again, and for every Ghanaian, the right to demonstrate is one of the things that the Constitution prescribes. And definitely, based on court decisions, we know all we need to do is to be able to notify the police. And if they so disagree, it's the courts that we need to settle them in. And this is a country of laws. And definitely the issues of demonstrations and strikes are vehicles that, are open to all of us. And as media, one of the partners of what is now we are beginning to call the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining, Galamsey, a Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, had stated was that we're going to use the vehicles of demonstration, strikes, and all that to get government to do what it ought to do. If you, as you would know as a journalist, GJ has convened an EGM, and one of the issues that will be discussed is the response that is going to also be coming from the media so far as this particular fight is concerned. So we would definitely use all legal and constitutional means to ensure that we can get government to take decisions that would save us as a people. We cannot allow this genocide to continue.
Okay. Well, we are grateful for your time here on Newsnight. That's Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, convener of now the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. And as the fight continues, Joy News can confirm tonight that Chinese miners are continuing to contaminate the Tano River with their tailings at Samreboy in the western region, despite continuous report of direct washing of mining waste into the river. Lava Firm's Erastus Asaridonko has been back to Samreboy to gauge the situation. Here's his report.
In 2022, Joy News captured this mining site belonging to Akonta Mining Limited, whose mining residue was being directed into the Tano River.
First, anywhere you reach in the forest or at bush, you just get a stream. You sat down there and drink, but now you can't get those streams. So in fact, our river bodies all has destroyed.
Just behind you is the Tano River. How do you feel when you see it?
In fact, how does the government feel?
Subsequently, we also captured some Chinese miners washing mining residue into the Tano at Boya and Bena, close to Samreboy in the western region. Close to 2 years after our report, the criminal act is still being perpetrated by miners along the Tano River. Alhaji Salisu Muhammad Abu is an opinion leader at Samreboy.
If you look at the way the government has left people, government saying that he will put his presidency on galamsey, illegal mining. In fact, it's rather worse. This is a campaign regime. We have been hearing promises, but we have no future. These forests and our water reserves. People are saying in 10 years' time or 5 years' time. Never. If this will continue, at least in 2 years' time, a change of government will come and this will still continue. I don't think we have future Ghana.
This footage shows a mining site located on the edge of the Tano River, washing its residue directly into the river at Samreboy. The river is highly polluted. Tests conducted by our team registered 0.346 and 0.187 milligrams per liter for arsenic and chromium, an increase of 592 and 274% respectively, compared to World Health Organization's accepted levels of 0.050 milligrams per liter. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Samraboy, Western Region.
Now, the widespread of this particular menace has also today compelled the Minister for Trade and Industry to issue strong warning to members of his constituency against any attempt to encroach his land or turning it into a galamsey site. Listen.
My land is the one laying just behind us. It is my share of my father's inheritance. He also got it from his father. I have heard some people want to go there and do illegal mining. I dare them to come and do the galamsey there.
And that's the Minister of Trade there, Katie Hamilton, that issuing that warning to constituents who would want to encroach his land to engage in galamsey. We'll focus on climate now, and fishermen in Dambai are now navigating the Oti River safely thanks to weather updates from the Ghana Meteorological Agency. With 3-day forecasts and radio warnings, they can now plan trips better and avoid the boat accidents that once plagued the area. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more in our Climate Focus series for today.
Ajeti Mawuwe, now 53 years, began his fishing career at the tender age of 7.
In Yechi, the weather was particularly unpredictable, with sudden rainstorms. To survive, we had to act quickly, often abandoning our nets and flee into safety, hoping to return another day with the means to replace our lost gear.
Ajete explains that the traditional weather forecasting methods they relied on were no longer effective due to shift in weather patterns. However, things have improved significantly.
Although radio announcements warn of approaching rainstorms, many fisherfolks like myself don't have access to radio sets or ignore the warnings, putting us at risk. However, the introduction of weather forecast has significantly reduced accidents on the lake, as those who do listen can take necessary precautions.
Okay.
I am Kofi Yamba from Dambai, and I've spent the last 30 years working on this lake. My fishing journey began when I was just 6 years old, learning from my father. Growing up, we didn't have access to radio sets, so our fathers relied on traditional methods to predict weather changes. Whenever they sense a change in weather, we would promptly seek shelter in a nearby community to ensure our safety.
36-year-old Kofi Yamba and his fellow fishermen are no longer taking risks by relying on unpredictable weather conditions. They credit Ghana Meteorological Agency's weather forecast for providing more accurate and reliable information, allowing them to make informed decisions and stay safe on the water.
Pertaining to the marine space, and we use some of this data that are observed. Okay, they are not predicted, that are observed to, we combine them with other, let me say, satellite data. These are ground data. We measure them with our machines that have been installed with other satellites observed data, and we assimilate them, and we are able to come up with the models which aids in our forecasting.
Marine meteorologist at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Thomas Barney, says their goal is to connect scientific knowledge with community needs, making a positive impact, one weather alert at a time.
After we have come up with our analysis and we've developed the forecast, we send the products out. We have various institutions who serve as, let's say, the medium of communication to those who live along the coastline or also work within the marine space. For instance, when we issue the daily forecast, we issue them and we send them to the national body of the Canoe Owners and Fishing GS Association of Ghana. We have the national body, we disseminate the information to them, they take up the information, they also share it on their platforms. Ghana Maritime Authority receives our daily advisory. Ports and Harbors receives. Some of the media houses or let me say the media outlets along the coast also receive our information. And every individual who works within the marine space can even use the USSD code *920*88#. You follow the prompts and you'll be able to have the information that day. We have a tall mailing list that's also received. So the various stakeholders receive the information.
Climate Focus is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
And that's our climate focus, taking us to business. George Wiafe is here with the very latest. There's some development on CBG, social media.
Interesting. And so they have issued a statement saying that the bank has not been sold. I'll be getting you more details in business. And also, strong growth in industry pushes second quarter GDP estimates to record 6.9%, the highest in several years. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business.
You see them. You see them every day in our communities, doing what they do best to make a difference in the lives of people. You see them. You see them bring positive transformation to the lives of people in the areas of education, health, and economic empowerment. While many will see them and turn their faces away, you see them. You see their efforts, and you know they're heroes who deserve to be celebrated. MTN Heroes of Change is setting out to unearth and to celebrate a new set of heroes. You can throw the light on the heroes you see in your community by nominating them to win 100,000 Ghana cedis and other prizes to help them expand their work. Just fill an online nomination form at mtn.com.gh or send a WhatsApp with a 1-minute video of your nominee's project on 055 141 1122. Deadline for nominations is 18th October 2024, so don't waste time. Nominate your hero now. MTN Heroes of Change. Be the change you wish to see.
Hooray! Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's back-to-school promotion is here with us once again. From August to September this year, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10 to 20% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takrade, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stocks last. For more information, call us on 0506 487 557 or 0302 764 209 or via email at info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Supposed to happen when we find the
Yeah. We have a new leader in town. Obiarenti. Amafo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal packed with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
The luckiest. Star 712 #. Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest. Star 712 #. Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. Doctors. Nurses. Barbers. Drivers. Bouncers. Friends. Teachers. Bankers. Let's go. The luckiest. Star 712 #. Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest. Star 712 #. Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. Doctors. Nurses. Barbers. Drivers. Bouncers. Friends. Teachers. Bankers. Star 712 #. You could be the luckiest.
My name is Raymond Smith. I work with Afrimass Network. Media plays a major role in our democracy, and so we need to do everything to defend media. We need to do everything to protect media. We need to do everything to empower media for the sake of our society. So I call on everyone to defend media freedom. Hashtag defend media freedom GH.
For too long, Ghanaians have been let down by empty promises and failed leadership. But now, a new dawn is rising in our beloved country. A sweeping change led by the visionary Nana Kwame Bediako, the leader of a new force movement. Nana Kwame Bediako will embark on an unprecedented tour of all 276 constituencies across Ghana. He's bringing hope, economic freedom, and to put power back where it belongs, with you, the people. Be part of this historic revolution that will shape the destiny of our nation. Join the New Force movement now and let's build a nation of our dreams. For more information, call 0531 100081. That's 0531 100081. New Force movement. Enidaswa Ba.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, strong pickup in industry sector pushed the second quarter GDP estimate to record 6.9%. Now, that's according to data released by the Ghana Statistical Service in Accra today. There is more in this report.
Industry grew by 9.3% in the second quarter of this year. This is the highest growth posted by any of the sectors in the economy from April to June in 2024. Industry's sterling performance was influenced by a significant pickup in activities from the mining and quarrying subsectors of the economy as it grew by almost 15%. Construction and manufacturing also witnessed some strong growth during the period under review. These developments helped overall growth rate for the second quarter of 2024 to hit 6.9%, the highest since 2022. The services sector grew by 5.8%, followed by the agri sector, which recorded a 5.4% growth. However, cocoa's fortune continues to decline, as the data showed that it records more than 20% slump in terms of output. The Ghana Statistical Service data showed that Ghana's economy is still led by the services sector, accounting for about 44.2% share of the economy. Industry had 33%, whilst agri sector's share was estimated at 23.6%. When you also look at the quarter-on-quarter performance, Ghana's economy grew by 1.6%. This is the highest that Ghana has recorded since 2020. The performance of the economy for the second quarter of this year has already left some arguing that Ghana might now be on the path to pre-COVID-19 levels in terms of economic recovery.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnanian has been highlighting the contribution of the extractive sector to this record performance.
Indeed, this 6.9% growth rate that we see now is the rate that we've recorded since the second quarter of 2019. And if you look at the performance of the economy in the second quarter of 2019, you again will realize that these extractive industries, i.e. mining and quarrying dominated by gold and oil and gas, saw much sharper growth rates over this period. So whatever we see in the second quarter of 2024 is consistent with what we saw in the second quarter of 2019 when the economy grew by 9.1%.
And that is the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobnanian. Now, Consolidated Bank Ghana has denied a report that the institution has been sold to a foreign entity. It follows reports on social media the bank has been sold without even Parliament's approval. But Consolidated Bank Ghana, in a statement, maintained that the bank has not been sold to any entity, insisting that the government of Ghana still remains the sole shareholder of the bank, therefore assured customers that their funds with the institution is safe. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Finance has also issued a statement denying the sale of this bank to a foreign entity. Now, the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Sassy, says government is working with various financial institutions to increase trade finance support to small businesses in the country. Speaking at the workshop on SME growth and opportunity program, she said that government is pushing to improve innovation to help meet global standards.
We will continue to consolidate the country's position as a leading hub for entrepreneurship to leverage the opportunities offered by a fully integrated AFCFTA market that will have an estimated 6.7 trillion of combined customers and business spending by 2030. As government, we will continue to place immense focus on this. This is in recognition of the integral role you play in both society and economic expansion.
Abna Sassy is the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry. Now, MTN Ghana has admitted that the recent tax dispute with the Ghana Revenue Authority did impact on its operations. Telecoms giant earlier this year managed to reach some settlement with the tax authorities with some 617 million Ghana cedis tax charge. But answering questions of the Ghana Stock Exchange, facts behind the figures, earlier today, the Chief Executive, Stephen Blowett, says that even though the issues have been resolved, the development wasn't good for them.
Yes, that was something that impacted our business. Obviously, as you know, we're a listed business, and I can't share our Q3 results because we're not finished. But what I can tell you is, since that time, as you've seen in our numbers, we have continued to focus on making up that dent we had in our business. And I can say we have made a positive impact on that dent. So that's as far as I can go.
The Chief Executive of MTN also revealed that they are working to secure extra spectrum from the National Communications Authority to help improve service quality for customers. To other stories, the European Union is calling on government to develop a holistic framework that will help promote the use of tech to boost the agricultural sector. Addressing the media, programs leader of the European Union, Morgan Parata, noted that the adoption of these innovations would guarantee the growth of the agricultural sector. She spoke at the sidelines of the European Union session on promoting digitalization in the country.
So the government should work out on the so-called digital agriculture policy. In my view, that would be the best because digital uptake should be something that the government is seriously committed to, and that it comes with a proper implementation plan for every region so that farmers everywhere are helped and supported with this in this regard.
Mogorata Purata is the program officer at the Economic and Private Sector and Trade Session at the European Union delegation to Ghana. The misuse of data privacy by some organizations is increasing. In an interview with Joy Business, President of the Ghana Internet Service Provider Association, that is Michael Infujo, condemned the practice. He has therefore been calling on Ghanaians to support them deal with this. He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of the Ghana Internet Conference in Accra.
Before any organization will give out your data to any third party, your consent, is needed. I've also heard about people receiving some SMS which is strange to them, and they were wondering how senders of this SMS got to know their personal details and for which they are sending them, such SMS. And I think that, Data Protection Commission is supposed to be informed about what is happening and see how they will be able to step in and to find out which organization is the one giving out people's personal data.
Michael Komlan Fojo is the president of the Ghana Internet Service Provider Association of Ghana. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George Riafe, with the very latest. I'm looking forward to PM Express Business Edition for this week.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will let us in later tomorrow.
A lot.
Right?
It's happening. A lot is cooking.
Yes, I know. You cook so well. Well, let's do sports now. And Danny Cranting, I heard your names of talkatives that you used to write in school. Okay, what are we doing tonight?
Let's go straight into our stories. An experienced football administrator, Fred Papo, has won Hearts of Oak while looming relegation. The Phobians have lost 2 of their opening games in the Ghana Premier League and sit bottom of the table without scoring a goal. Papo has warned them that if things don't change, this might be just the year they would go down.
Now, Hearts and Protocol are surviving largely because of the powers of individuals and establishments around them. You get my point. But it may not last forever. One thing I always say, I'm not going to mention a particular one, but relegation is not, it doesn't come like as an event. It comes, you see it come, the year it comes, about 2 years before then or 3 years before then, you see the club hovering around the lower ranks struggling to survive, struggling to survive, like the Olympics. And then finally you go again. There's a big traditional club in Ghana, I don't need to mention names, that have been suffering the same fate.
You had experienced football administrator Fred Papu, who's also a former board member of Accra Great Olympics. Our featured game in tonight's UEFA Champions League is between Manchester City and Inter. There'll be live commentary on Hits 103.9 FM from 7 p.m.
We're hooked already, Danny Cranting, with the latest from the world of sports. Now let's do some of your messages that you sent in with the hashtag Newsnight. Musa Abatwa in Aswasi says organized labor's efforts to hold the government accountable for the environmental harm from galamsey are commendable. I have no doubt that their current demand for a total ban on small-scale mining will be realized. The rejection of SNIT asset sales shows their dedication. And he goes on about other issues as well. And this one from Nana Spintex Road: we shall all hit the streets with a fix the country lot so the police must be ready to imprison all of us. That's Nana Spintex. And then Joseph Zurich of La says the judge who granted the injunction should be given some of the polluted water. Sometimes I wonder what is wrong with our enforcement bodies. The police cannot stop galamsey, which is an existential threat, but can run to court to stop simple demonstration that will kill no one. Oh Ghana, still when? I am Joseph Zurich of La, he says. And Abuchi Philip from Keta says, Ghanaians are still warning EC boss. You must not create any chaos in the country. Now some of your messages that you've sent in via WhatsApp. Now tonight, Christian and Muslim leaders are charging the Electoral Commission not to take a hardline stance on the calls for an audit of the voters' register. The NDC has been demanding a forensic audit of the voter roll for the East, but the EC admitted some voters were illegally transferred by its officials from the Pusiga constituency, but insists that all these anomalies have been rectified. While the NDC claims the register has been padded and bloated, the religious leaders say it is important for the EC to continuously engage with the NDC to resolve the party's concerns and reduce tensions ahead of the crucial 2024 elections. And we know that the EC had asked the NDC to provide the evidence of some of these anomalies that they talk about apart from Pusiga. Well, today we're hearing that Tolon constituency is also another area that the NDC has concerns about. We can hear from the Director of Election and IT of the NDC, Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer.
What we have seen in this current administration is that, led by Madam Jean Mensah, for the first time, people have not appeared before returning office. Somebody just sat at the Electoral Commission office and start transferring them by using their voter ID numbers. They are using their pictures and transferring them from their IT system. And you think that...
And that's what you say is contrary to the law.
Contrary to the law. And which accounted to the 15,000 we are talking of. So what happened is that these 15,000 people, although their names are in the register, but they don't know that they have removed them from Accra, throw them all the way to Bolga, some to Wa, some to... Like the Tamale episode. When they quickly came out, they say, only 30 people from Tamale. We have reversed it. It's not true. Tolong, we just discovered massive transfer of people like that.
Have you produced this evidence? Have you submitted it to the EC?
Yes, we met the Electoral Commission. We wrote to them. So we realized that this EC is having a register different from the one they exhibited.
Well, the Director of Election and Research also of the NPP, Evans Dimaku, says the NPP will not be drawn into the unreasonable demands being made by the NDC.
Exhibition is supposed to help with corrections. Where your names are wrongly spelled, you've been deleted, you either feel for inclusion or corrections to be made to order. And for me, that is exactly what the EC must do. And that's exactly what the EC did. That corrections are to be made to data. And then the final certified register will be made available to political parties. If you've gone through it and you've realized that there's a certain 243,000 who have been captured from 2020 to 2024.
Right.
You pointed out to the EC. Okay. You're saying that 15,000 people have been legally transferred. You point it out. Okay. You are not prepared to submit the list to EC, but you are prepared to give it to a committee chaired by either Dr. Atta Kennedy or Imani or whatever. That is what you want to do.
They say they'll hand it to the external forensic auditing
and that's what I'm saying,
entity.
That we, the New Patriotic Party, we have 79 days to D-Day, December 7th.
Okay.
We are focused and will not be detracted by this call now.
Okay, all right.
It will serve no purpose.
That's Evans Dimako. He leads the elections department of the NPP. Well, a statement of a number of religious leaders also have been put out, and Kwekwa Santi of our political affairs desk has more.
So a number of Christian leaders, including Most Reverend Dr. Paul Boafo, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Dr. Hilad Dogbe, Enoch Thompson, and then Apostle Eric Nyamiche, and a host of others are asking the EC to look at the NDC concerns, and I quote, it says, the EC, through her actions and inactions, has faced many accusations leading to loss of confidence and heightened levels of mistrust in the conduct of Ghanaian election, especially from parties in opposition. Nevertheless, the 2024 polls are being conducted under intensified skepticism, particularly due to concerns raised by the NDC. We call on the EC to elevate her consultation and participatory methods and ensure increased transparency and improved communication.
And these are details from that particular statement from the Christian Council and other religious leaders in the country about the debacle between the NDC and the Electoral Commission. Now, if anyone had told me 10 years ago that I'll be in a wheelchair today, I would have called them a false prophet. That's the reflections from former President John Agyekum Kufuor as he recounts his once active life while advocating for a more inclusive society for persons with disabilities. Speaking at the inaugural disability conversation hosted by the John Agyekum Kufuor Foundation and RIP, the former president who oversaw the passage of the Disability Act emphasized the urgent need for a society where everyone, including those living with disabilities, feels safe, valued and protected.
Look at me today. If anyone had said just 10 years ago that I will today be here in a wheelchair, perhaps he would have been disputed and damned as a false prophet. But his prophecy is the reality today. I'm in a wheelchair, I cannot walk, and I need about 4, 5, 6 hefty men to be pushing me around like a baby. Today, we cannot leave any segment of our society behind, which is acceptance, inclusion, and integration of disability as a difference in diversity. Let us appreciate our differences and our idiosyncratic inadequacies and develop the tolerance to accommodate each other as an integral part of the human race.
Meanwhile, former Energy Minister Boakye Ejaku says public facilities that do not meet the specifications and accessibility for persons with disabilities should not be certified.
I do not see how an engineer will approve a new building that does not have the specific code, comply with the specific code. I do not see how a road engineer can sign off on road construction that is not abiding by specific code. So it's become an innate disability of us to cut corners. Until all of us begin to accept that we are all disabled from the fall of Adam, that all humanity is disabled, and that our disability shows up in different levels and at different times. If we get that mindset, then it will become a point where it becomes part of our thinking that we are either disabled now or we may be disabled in the future, and therefore let us all plan for it.
Well, some persons who are differently abled have also been able to break off the stigma and excel in their chosen field, share their stories, asking not to be pitied but seen as people with diversity. We can hear from former Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Dr. Henry Seidu Danai and former CPP presidential candidate Ivor Greenstreet.
News got around that the blind man in Accra will become to Kumasi. When we got there and I did my work, people were so impressed. And when I came down, I was going to my car. As soon as I entered, then I heard a woman talking to my driver. I am Papa said, Papa, my G is no good. But what the woman is asking to know is whether I'm really blind. And that's not the only thing. And the driver told me he's blind. He said,
I get a call and saying, oh, Green, our organizer in Tamale is dead and they are pleading you to come to the funeral on Saturday. As of now, if I went to the airport to buy a ticket, I will not be able to board that smaller aircraft, nor would they allow me to board it, although we have tried previously, which means I will have to drive the journey. But that does not mean they don't want to do it. There are so many things that need to be done. It's a very challenging. Most of these things are related to government's capacity to improve the accessibility in all of these spheres that we are referring to.
And these are things we need to be reflecting upon. That's how we end today's edition of Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM, also on myjoyonline.com. We have Strong and Sassy Enimwa snapping all the way to Strong and Sassy tonight. What are we talking about anymore?
Wow, MFA. So, last week we were having a conversation on why women stay in abusive relationships. And we didn't have enough time. So we decided
I thought
to
you were going to say you're talking about men tonight.
No. So we decided to continue with the conversation on why women stay. And it was very interesting. Some of the reasons that came out were religion, for one.
Wow.
And also the fact that women were
Which
just
kind of religion would say you should stay in an abusive relationship?
I mean, it's the kind of religion that just frowns on divorce outright without...
That's why I don't want to be a religious person, but a spiritual one.
Exactly, without knowing the details. And also economic issues. Just getting ready, being ready to live out on your own, look after the kids and all of those things. So we're going to continue that conversation
Thank you for continuing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Stay tuned in.